Hey guys, it's Rachel with Pretty and Plants. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. I just want to warn y'all today might be a little longer show, but I will timestamp it down below, so stay tuned. People ask about flushing pretty often, so I want to talk about flushing. I'm going to talk about root rot, foliar spray, my Wilfin Sansevieria. I'm going to do a ZZ plant update. I'm going to do Hoya's sunburned and stressed from sun. My commentary on fertilizers that don't work. Where should I begin? You know what? I have this big ZZ plant on my couch with me, so I'm just gonna bring him into the frame. This is my ZZ plant. I will put a card up above. I transplanted it in front of y'all and talked about ZZ plants and root rot. I treated the root rot on this one. I gutted the root rot out. It had a tremendous amount of root rot, and I sprayed it with hydrogen peroxide. I let it dry on the counter, it into dry leca. Once it was dry on the counter, then I put the water through it, but did not leave any water in the bottom. And now I'm going to wait 1 to 2 months before putting water through it again. The ZZ plants will kind of tell you when they're dry. People ask me about ZZ plants a lot. So there's two methods. Well, there's lots of methods you can do. If you're new to leca, we're talking about leca. I took this out of dirt and I put it into leca. If you're just starting your journey, I have 70 plus videos. Make sure to watch lots of videos before you hop on board. And I want to talk about another rotted plant next. I did have another plant that I've had in leca that has adapted to water really, really well. Rot out on me, and I want to talk about why. But this ZZ plant, one of the people in the comments last time said that they transferred and they misted the rocks once a week. I am kind of a lazy girl, and so I just want to water it and be done watering for a month. So that actually worked out great for me. The reason it rotted the first time, I watered it and waited 10 days, which wasn't long enough. So now I'm just going straight to 1 to 2 months between watering until this guy starts showing really big signs, new growth. Then I know, okay, new roots have developed below, and probably around the 6-month mark, maybe not until next spring, I will start leaving a little water down in the bottom of this basket, a plant that rotted. And what I do when plants rot terribly, look at this. It's so sad. It's a very sad plant, and I kind of waited to take it out to kind of show y'all what I do. Look, it's ew. So if you have plants in leca, you should not have many pests. You shouldn't have many fungus gnats. You should not have many of anything. I have 130 plants in leca, and I don't have, so far I just haven't had any pests. Sometimes they'll come with pests on them, like, you know, aphids or something, you know, I didn't know, and it's down around the base when I take it out of the dirt. Actually, it's Spinosad soap, and I'll put it on the screen. Go ahead and propagate the plant. I'm gonna propagate all the parts I can use and then throw it out. So I don't just throw out a rotting plant. I almost filled this with volcanic pumice and water. That's just water. Now, then what I do is I keep a foliar spray on hand, and I'm gonna go ahead and spray my foliar spray kind of on the top. It has nutrients in it, and I'm gonna talk about the nutrients in a minute. So here is my cup to cut. You can cut it, and you can cut it anywhere on the stalk. Always make sure the top is up and this is down. This will grow roots, okay? And if it's rotting and it's a Sansevieria, you just want to make sure that's green. My cup And I'm just gonna kind of put it in like that. Automatically down this stalk. Now, I kind of want them all to be the same height. So that one was about maybe 3 to 4 inches. Make sure the top is the top, the bottom is the bottom. So I'm gonna take another stalk and cut it kind of over. I love the pointies on the top, so I definitely want all the pointies first. And this will make all new plants. So I'm kind of making a little garden here of, oh, I already cut the top off of that one. Now, what some people do is they let this dry out for a couple days, then they stick it in water. I just stick mine in water. I don't think I let it dry out. Okay, perfect. Okay, now see how this piece has a little brown inside of it. It has some brown in this white. I do not put that down in water. That's the root rot has traveled up the Sansevieria and is in the physical stem. And you can kind of tell on this one, it's crinkly and starting to rot a little bit more. This even had pups. This is how well this one did. I'm gonna check on the pups by taking them, let me do this. I'm gonna kind of, now I'm going to pull this out. And let's talk about root rot for a second. What do I do when I see evidence of root rot? Well, there's a couple of ways you can go. The ZZ plant, that was a big plant, $100 plant, huge investment. Take it out of the leca, get all the root rot off, sprayed it with hydrogen peroxide, put it in dry leca, and I make a bigger production out of that. This one, when I saw a little root rot, and the way I saw it was I saw a little crinkle on the side of one of these Sansevierias, and I thought, well, I just took the water out and just let it sit and just kind of started my normal routine. When I put something first in leca, I don't leave any water in the bottom for 2 or 3 months. Just mist the top, let its roots get a little water, but not too much. This would probably grow back, and I might end up doing that. But let's look at these roots. So we have, that's nasty. Now, this is why you'll get fruit flies in your house. You have rotting material down below the leca, or on the sides, and that is a problem. This actually looks pretty good. This is one of the pups, and that looks good. And actually, oh yeah, these roots are rotten. So rotting roots, it's just, you know, kind of soft and falls off real easily. It has, yeah, all the roots kind of rotty, but it will grow again from this. What I would do with this, if I wanted to keep it, which I don't know, but I would cut it, kind of let it dry out a little bit, put it in my secret sauce, and it will grow a whole new thing. This is the magic that's in my foliar spray. I'm going to talk about that next. Let me go ahead and put these in here. And I had them strategically set so that the tops, I knew where the tops were, and they're gonna stick in here really, really nicely because volcanic pumice lets you, it's a much better stabilizer than leca is. So make sure you get a bag of that volcanic pumice. Okay, there we go. There's water in here. There's a stabilizer in here so they'll stand straight up, and bam. Now I will just put this, I have one lamp that's kind of reaches over, and it's a grow light bulb. Really quickly, I wanted to talk about why this rotted, because I'd said it was completely, had transferred over into the leca really well. Start doubting myself, or if people ask me questions like, you let your plants go dry in between waterings, and put lots of question marks. I'm like, well, maybe, you know, I should do the 30% water, or maybe I should change how I'm doing it. Every time I question myself and I go higher on the water, or make a change as to how I do things, a plant rots. So that's what happened with this one. It's been doing great in leca. And the other thing that can happen is overconfidence. You're like, ooh, it's doing so great. I'm just gonna pour in, you know, a bigger amount of water, I run into problems when I do that. So that's what happened with this Starfish Sansevieria. I got a little too confident, put in a little too high of a water, and that's actually not a problem if you kind of check it after a couple of days. And it's harder on a Sansevieria because it doesn't have leaves that'll turn yellow or droop. But if you check your plant in a couple of days and it has some yellowing leaves, you know, oop, that was too much water. On the Sansevieria, I just put the water in, left it for a week or two, and didn't really notice it wasn't really going down quickly enough and that it was drowning the roots a little bit. So stay safe with your plants and keep it minimum on the water. Foliar spray, which you can go to your local hardware store and buy, you don't have to, but you can buy a Super Thrive foliar spray. You also want to get, and I think I have this link down below as well, but you also want to get a little bottle of Super Thrive. And then when you refill it, I use distilled water, and I do 6 drops of Super Thrive, fill it with water, and I've started adding 1 teaspoon of Epsom salt for magnesium. The magnesium helps the roots. They love it. It'll help your roots. So when let's say I treat a plant and put hydrogen peroxide on the roots and dry out the roots. After they've dried out, I will spray the roots and the leaves with my Super Thrive foliar spray. But I've started adding a teaspoon of Epsom salt to the water. Get it kind of stirred in and mixed in and melted. And sometimes I'll shake it before I spray my plants. But if you have plant curl, last night my Audrey, the leaves started curling, and I have not treated the Audrey with magnesium for 3 months. So that's how long it will stay on your leaves. Now, when you treat a plant with your foliar spray, I'm going to use this Mayoi. It's a philodendron Mayoi, and I'm probably saying it wrong. It loves leca, but all you do when you treat your plant, and I like to wear a dusting glove, which I will also have linked below, to dust my plant so you're getting your plant leaves dusted, then you're also treating with your foliar spray, and you only have to do it once a month to once every 3 months. If the plant has a yellow leaf or is having a little overwatering issue, just avoid misting because it absorbs a lot through these leaves. And if it's a little stressed out, I just kind of wait because sometimes extra nutrients aren't a good thing. Now, if it's a tree like a ficus Audrey or a woody tree, you can also spray the stem, and it will absorb the magnesium through the trunk of the tree. So they love this spray. The plants love it. And so I'll just spray all the undersides of the leaves. I try to, because I'm a little distracted with my plants, I try to just do the foliar spray the first 5 days of the month. And then I wait another month. Otherwise, you know, I'm like, when did I spray last or whatever? So the first 5 days of the month, I have special things. I do my foliar spray on plants, especially plants if the leaves are kind of bunching up like this or kind of changing shape or not as green and they're kind of getting kind of a pale green. A lot of times that means it's just a little magnesium deficient. So this plant's done with its spray for the month. I hope y'all are enjoying this show. A fertilizer that I'm gonna give a thumbs down to. Please leave in the comments below if you have thumbs down fertilizers that just your plants do not react well to or seem to have an issue with. This is, I love Dynagrow. I love their products. However, when I added this one, which is the Bloom, I thought I would make lots of flowers in our house. When I added it to my mix of nutrients, it just left a lot of crystals on the top immediately. So people ask me a lot about flushing. I don't flush my plants ever. unless they have crystals on the top. Hoyas are pretty notorious, in my house at least, for rejecting nutrients. To me, Hoyas seem to just want the slightest amount of nutrients, and they can only absorb so much. And I don't know if it's because I have young Hoyas, I'm just transferring into LECA, or what the issue is, but my plants, the Hoyas, spit out. Now, when a plant spits out the nutrients, and I just treated this, so it doesn't have much, but you'll start seeing a white residue on your LECA. When that happens, if you never use distilled water when you're watering your plants, do use it for your flushing, because what I did with this one is I filled it. This is just, let me show you, this is my carry and it's down in this pot. I filled the pot to here with reverse osmosis water, and I let it sit for 10 minutes. An hour would have gotten it perfectly clean. And then I flushed water through it. And then you can put water in the bottom, but because it's a Hoya, I thought I'd just wait for a couple days to water it. And it will make the pebbles perfectly brown or reddish brown again. Now, you may need to do this after your first watering. Let's say you transferred a plant. Let me take these gloves off. When I first transfer a plant, I only use regular water. I personally use reverse osmosis water. I have a system in my house. If you're watering your plants, you can use tap water if it's water that you would drink. If it's not water you would drink, it's probably not water you'd want to give your plants. So use a Brita or something. But when you introduce nutrients, depending on the plant size, depending on the roots, depending on so many things, your plant will start absorbing the nutrients right away and love it. Sometimes plants, though, are like, they spit out the nutrients. They tell you, if I don't like my nutrients, there is going to be white stuff, crystals on the top of my LECA right away. It's too much or something, so you need to make an adjustment. If it tells you, I don't like the nutrients, this is not a big deal. You just soak the whole thing in distilled water or reverse osmosis water for a few minutes, flush it out, and bam, you're gonna have all fresh looking LECA again. I don't have to flush very often, and I think it's because I use reverse osmosis water to water my plants. I typically flush once every 6 months. Now, I'm looking at a Hoya right now. My Hoyas, I seem to have to do it a little more often because I like to make big batches, 3-gallon batches of my nutrient water, and I give everybody the same thing, which is why this one was a problem. It's hard for me to just give it to one plant because I make big batches. All the plants I gave this hated it, spit it out, and I had to do a big flushing session. Oh no, there's just some. Okay, so I don't use a 3-part system. I use the Dynagrow is my brand that I use, and I use Foliage Pro is my main one I use. I just used 1 nutrient and I add 1 teaspoon per gallon, and that's all I use. Okay, so guys, this is a long video. I think it's gonna be 40 minutes long. So I'm going to go ahead and finish part 2, but I'm gonna take a break right here and let part 2 be put up on Thursday. I wanted to let y'all know, part 2 is I'm gonna talk about sunburns on your plants and plants that have gotten burned and not gotten burned, and show you some of my plants. I'm gonna talk more about olive leaves. I'm going to talk about my newest plant that I just got. I won't do the unboxing, but I'll show you my newest plant that I got. And a ZZ plant update. Whalefin Sansevieria. Want to talk about my Whalefin Sansevieria. So I still have quite a bit, and I just can't wait to share it with y'all, but I don't want this video to be too long. So love you, and thanks for tuning in. We'll talk more about all of these things on my part 2, which will be this Thursday. See you later. Bye-bye.